tell by my face. I am pretty exhausted right now. I am just coming off of about 14 hours of working today. And you might be thinking, wow, this guy, he's doing these YouTube live streams really early, 6 a.m. No, I have not gone to sleep yet, which is why I look so tired. And I want to talk about this video, first of all, how I got myself the motivation or discipline to work that hard. Work that hard because in one day, I did do the rant earlier, but I did it on Facebook because I couldn't do screen sharing on YouTube. But anyway, in one day, I've done in the past, what a couple years ago, I might have done in 2 weeks. And what honestly the average person does in a couple weeks. I wrote 100 pages of a book that I've been working on, and I set a deadline to finish this book in 2 days. So I wrote 100 pages of a book. I did quite a bit of YouTube videos. I recorded several YouTube videos from my main channel. I got a crazy amount done, and I am feeling stressed. I am feeling tired. I did push myself to the limit. This is not, a normal work day for me, and I don't think it needs to be, and I don't think it should be. But being able to push yourself is this hard is how you get to high levels of success. And I want to talk about what allowed me to go this far outside my comfort zone. And even though right now I'm stressed, even though right now I'm a bit uncomfortable, here's the good thing. When you do something that is far outside of your comfort zone, I think I'm going to change the lighting because it looks really bad. Let's see if that makes it better. Okay, maybe it just looks bad on my screen, but so when you do something where you push yourself extremely far out of your comfort zone, what happens is the next time you do that same level of work, it's relatively easy. Now, doing this amount of work won't be so extreme for me. It'll be, 10, 20% less stressful. And if you push yourself that hard enough times, it actually becomes comfortable. And so the only way to get higher levels of performance is to go through a period where you're doing things that are stressful, that make you uncomfortable. But when you do that enough times, it becomes the norm. It becomes perfectly within your comfort zone. And there is a process to reaching that point. And it is necessary to go through periods where you push yourself extremely hard. And when you make yourself very uncomfortable temporarily to get there. Although when you do that, at the end of the day, you get to sleep feeling very satisfied. You get to have this pride that you feel because Nietzsche has a quote about what it means to be happy, and it goes as this. What is happiness? The feeling that an obstacle has been overcome, the feeling that an obstacle has been overcome and that your power has increased. I kind of messed that up, but maybe I'll link it below. But the idea is that whenever you are overcoming obstacles, and these could be external, like climbing to the top of a mountain or running a marathon or whatever, or they can be internal, which is pushing yourself further than you've gone before. For example, when you do that, then you feel a true sense of happiness. You feel that you are in alignment with who you want to be. And even though it caused some, I love that there's a fly going through, even though it caused some temporary stress, it also gives you this feeling of satisfaction. And over time, doing things that are stressful for you becomes exciting. It becomes a source of adrenaline. For me, I used to have extreme social anxiety. So if I saw a girl that I found really attractive and I thought, oh, maybe I should go talk to her, that would be very intimidating. But now, because I've put myself through that thousands of times, I see an attractive woman and I'm excited to go talk to her. What before was fear has become adrenaline. It has become a positive experience because my meaning for it has changed over time through exposing myself to it and realizing that the stress wasn't a bad thing. The stress was a good thing because it allowed me to improve my life. It allowed me to have more options in dating. And in the case of, working extremely hard, I see over time, I see the results. I see that, let's say my YouTube channel is getting more views or that I make more sales or whatever it is, that will, the comments are a bit distracting. That's, it's not your fault, but made me lose my train of thought. Now, as to why, what inspired me to push myself so far? I watched a video by Andrew Tate called, I believe, Mind Tricks for Being Successful and Beating Depression. And I think it's not his most entertaining video, but I think it's his most useful video in terms of having information in it that can change your life. And he gives 4 tips for how to improve your life. And Andrew Tate, if you don't know, he's a world kickboxing champion, and now he's a multi-millionaire, very rich guy. That is easily verifiable. He owns a Bugatti, stuff like that. So he's very rich. He says crazy things. I don't agree with everything he says. I disagree with plenty of the things he says. And it would be very easy to say, oh, this guy's arrogant. This guy's so full of himself. He's a misogynist. Even if you thought all those things, even if I thought all of those things, I would still listen to him, because despite not liking those things about his character, hypothetically, he's still extremely successful in terms of having built an online brand where he's making multiple millions of dollars per month from his online course. He has a $50 a month membership that's got 60,000 members. So just do the math. He's making at least a couple $1 million after the fees per month. And that's just one income stream. So obviously this guy's done a very, very good job. He's at a higher level than I am, or anyone else who might dislike him is, in terms of making money. So I'm going to be humble enough to give his advice a chance. Now, I'm not going to assume everything he says is true, but I'll watch a video like how to beat mind tricks for beating depression and being successful. I'll watch that video, and then what I'll do is I'll act as if it's true as an experiment, and I will try it and see what the results are. And if the results are that it didn't work, it wasn't good advice, okay, then I'll try something else. But this guy is very successful in this area, so I'm going to watch his ideas, listen to his advice, give it a shot, and see what happens. And one of his pieces of advice in that video was that you should become a sayer. A sayer means that when you want to do something, you have a goal in mind, you want to accomplish something, you say it. You tell someone in your vicinity, like I have my brother here at my place, so I told him, today I'm going to work 10 hours. And I'm going to work at least 10 hours. And now I've gotten well past that because I want to prove that I'm a man of my word, right? That I'm not going to be a little bitch and say I'm going to do something and then not follow through. That's not who I'm going to be. And just saying it to yourself, that's one thing. That's better than nothing. But if you say it to someone else, there's this extra leverage to take action. Now, doing this with someone online is not as good as doing it in person. Talking about something you're going to do in a month or 2 months, I don't think that's effective because you can just procrastinate. But saying you're going to do something today, you're going to do something in an immediate time frame, puts this pressure on you to take action. And if you do that and you start actually following through, you show yourself evidence. You know what? I can say anything and I will do it. And then you have infinite motivation. Then you can do anything no matter how much willpower or discipline it would normally take. It allows you to go past your normal limits. So that was his piece of advice. I've been trying it. I had another one where I had recently given up alcohol and I didn't really want to go out and approach girls because I was used to that crutch of drinking. And I told my brother, I'm going to approach 30 girls, no drinking. I don't even have a wingman today. I'm going to do it alone to push myself. And normally that would have been something I probably would have made an excuse to do. But because I said it, I had an obligation to follow through. And then I did. So that is a piece of advice that it's a way to push past your limits. And I recommend giving that experimenting with that. I recommend trying that. And look, if all you can do is say it to yourself, make a goal to yourself, that's something. One way to add leverage, if you don't have someone that you can tell, hey, I'm going to do this, is to use a website like stick.com. Stick.com lets you make a commitment contract that you're going to follow through with something. Now, you could make a goal to do something within a month. I once had a goal to reach 10% body fat within a month, and I was at about 14 or 15% at the beginning. And I actually did reach that goal. I had to only eat 1,600 calories per day, which for my weight was not much. And I also had to work out about 4 hours per day. In some cases, I worked out 5 hours. I did insanity, and I did 3 hours of biking every single day, which is pretty extreme, but I did reach that goal after a month. And but I would say I found it is more effective if you're going to do a goal in terms of Stick, that website. There's other websites like it. But if you're going to use that website, I would say it's more effective to have something you're going to do today. To just set something for today. Do that a few times until you've set the precedent that you're able to say you're going to accomplish something. You're going to be able to, you can make a commitment to yourself, and then you know you can follow through on it no matter how challenging it is. So that's a way to get that momentum rolling, to get that ball in motion. And, look, I'm not going to work 14 hours a day every day. There's no need to do that. That's not a balanced way of living. But I've proven to myself now that I can do that. And when I give myself a 10-hour workday, a 12-hour workday, that's relatively easy. I know that that's not even pushing myself to my limit now. I know that that's perfectly within my capabilities. And so now, like, the amount that I previously worked seems easy. It seems like I'm not even trying. And it's changing my my threshold, my set point for what is normal, what I'm capable of. And so that's what this technique has allowed me to do. Yes, I'm stressed right now. Yes, I'm tired. And I could have gotten to sleep earlier. In general, I'm not planning on going to sleep past 6 a.m. But I've proven something to myself that I will take with me. I've gone past my normal limits in a way that is something that now I know I can do more than I previously thought I could do. And there's something very powerful to that. So after this, shortly after this, I am going to get some goddamn sleep. And I'm going to reevaluate the 14 hours, take that down a notch or two. But this has done a lot for me. It's given me a lot of momentum now that I've written 100 pages in one day. So the amount that I can produce in terms of my online business, you're going to see it increase drastically. I'm going to be able to put out more YouTube videos more consistently. I'm going to be able to put out more books, more products more consistently because I know that I'm capable of that now. And that will lead, you're going to see, that will lead to exponential growth in not only this channel, but the main channel, which has far more subscribers, and to my overall business. Let me read the question I just got. and then I'll quickly talk about the other thing that inspired me to do this. This is off topic. You don't have to answer, but have you ever given research on skincare? Is Chris Gibson on YouTube? No. I mean, my skin doesn't really like the lighting. The iPhone makes my skin look bad. Normally, it looks better. I do use moisturizer, stuff like that. I mean, also just being very tired affects it. But that's just because I'm doing a live stream. My iPhone camera changes it. Um, and On the actual camera, it looks very different. I usually get told that I look 24, 25, younger than I am. And well, I think because of skincare is a big part of that. I do moisturize, all that kind of stuff, and I avoid getting sun without using sunscreen. Yeah, hey, if you can retain usefulness or youthfulness until you are 60, that's great. That is definitely something I would aspire to do. I honestly, this is off topic. I'll get to the next thing, but I think there's a very good chance that through scientific research, by the time I reach 60, aging will be a solved problem, right? Aging will be something that there are medical technologies which can reverse the visual, at least, effects of aging, or stop it by the time that I'm like, say, 50, somewhere around there. And then eventually it'll be reversible, at the least visually, perhaps even beyond that. How do I improve my debilitating social anxiety? Um, Exposure therapy. That is the one method that I can say truly works. It is important to not overwhelm yourself too much all at once. So if you have debilitating social anxiety, you don't need to go say, I'm going to approach 10 girls today. I'm going to talk to 10 strangers and, um, train myself, like push myself that far. Instead, what I would do if it's really debilitating is just go out to a social location where there are people I could talk to and walk around and do that until the anxiety isn't intense, like it's manageable when walking around in social environments that would trigger agoraphobic feelings. And then once you're at that point, once that feels tolerable, then you would baby step to say make comments as people walk by. Hey, I like your shirt. Hey, whatever. And then eventually you'd actually start conversations by perhaps asking a question like, "Hey, what do you think of this shirt? You have a good fashion sense, so I was just curious what you thought of it." And then from there, eventually, your social anxiety will severely decrease. So that's how I do that. I hate black pill. I don't actually even hate black pill. I mostly feel bad. Uh, I feel bad for people who believe in the black pill. I want to help them, but many of them do not want to be helped. And so it's just a frustrating situation in that sense. Now, the people that are spreading black pill ideology, I wouldn't say I hate them, but I would say they are doing a disservice to mankind by being very scientifically overconfident in their knowledge, by believing that they can prove that looks are all that matters, based on some weak correlative psychological studies and surveys. Because if you actually try to learn how psychological research works and what it can and cannot prove, those studies that they use as proof that looks are the only thing that matters, like say showing girls pictures of different men and showing how the canthal tilt when it's this way, they find them more attractive than when it's this way. That does not control for all the other variables because they're just looking at a picture, right? So any situation where you're making a comparison, it's taking out all the other variables that may or may not be relevant, but it's taking out the way they carry themselves, their vocal tonality, like all those kinds of things, their personality in general. and you don't know what the effect size, how important the canthal tilt or whatever it's showing, you don't know how important that is unless you can also compare it to the other variables. So unless you can also measure how much does personality play a role compared to that. And you have to be able to have all of these variables controlled for at the same time. The only way to do that is with experiments, but you can't make scientific experiments that would prove whether looks matter or don't matter, because an experiment requires a lab setting. You have to create an artificial setting. People have to be in an experimental setting. You can't do an experiment in a bar or a club or where there's a natural social interaction happening. So it just really isn't possible with the current technology, the current science, to even do causal studies, to do research that shows that, yes, looks are what matters and this isn't what matters. No, all you can do is show correlations, and those correlations may or may not mean what you think they mean. They may be very small correlations. It may be that, yes, the canthal tilt is 0.00001% more attractive than another, or whatever. Or that the taller guy is 0.1%, or it could be 99%. You don't know. And if you understand science, you have to accept that ignorance, and you can look at all these studies and go, all right, they point maybe to this, maybe to that. But your best source of information with something like dating, with something like what do women find attractive, is going to be personal experimentation, because it's not limited the same way scientific research and psychology is limited. Now, it's not objective, right? There's the problem that it's your own perspective, but those studies can't prove anything. And the only way you can learn what works and what doesn't, or where you stand, what qualities, like whether women find you attractive, is going out in the real world and finding out whether women find you attractive and trying different things and seeing if it makes a difference. Seeing if speaking in a different way, holding stronger eye contact, being more bold, being more indirect, trying different things, wearing height increasing shoes. Sure, you could do that as an experiment. See if that makes a big difference. And then you can get an idea of what works and what doesn't. But saying, oh, on Tinder inherently gets rid of all other variables other than pictures, right? Other than your appearance. And it's impossible to say whether Tinder is an accurate reflection of what women would choose in real life. You don't know either way. And the ignorance of the black pill is saying they do know in one way to prove their preconceived notions, but it's actually a very shallow understanding of psychology. That's the general problem with it. And I'm not saying everything they say is wrong, but they're making these truth claims with very, very weak evidence. And the vast majority of them, the other big problem I have with the black pill community, they talk about looks maxing, but then when you see the ones who do show their faces and they do show what they look like, they haven't even looks maxed. So you're putting everything on this thing that's outside of your control, saying, oh, it's my looks, but you're either very skinny or very fat. That's most black pillars. Why didn't you get shredded, right? Do steroids if you have to. I don't care, but why aren't you shredded? Why don't you do the things why don't you take control of those things that you say are all that matters to the extent that you can and see if that helps? Maybe because what you really want is to feel like a victim and to have an excuse and have a community that reinforces that belief and makes you feel good about having that belief, rather than getting out of your comfort zone and being challenged by thinking, you know what, maybe I could attract women if I changed everything about my life. Right? I would have to start doing things that make me uncomfortable. I would start having to, hit the gym, improve my physical appearance. I would start taking action there. I would work on my social life. I would have to, expand my circle and meet new people and, improve myself in every area and also approach women. I would have to do that. It's much easier to say, no, I'm a victim. It's not possible for me. Maybe one day I'll move to Southeast Asia and then I'll get girls. Which, hey, can that work? Of course it can work. That can be effective. But these black pill people, 99% of them, won't ever move to Southeast Asia, even though they think it's the solution. Because what they're addicted to is the idea that they can self-victimize, right? It's the idea that they can blame something as opposed to taking action. And they won't even take those actions that even within their mentality would work for the vast majority. Let's see these comments. Got on a rant, but bring up black pill, that's gonna happen. Have you ever done research on the female gaze versus the male gaze? No. You can send a link in the comments after the video. But I'm not sure. I've heard those terms, but I have not done research into it. Certain films are, okay, yeah, I do. I'm aware of that concept. The actors they use for those films. I'm aware of that. I don't know much about it though. My matches went from 10 in a day to 100 plus. So I filled the black pill after I reached. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Getting down to body fat, like improving your physique, of course, is going to improve your matches. I've had clients who are completely shredded. They look like Marvel heroes that struggle to get women, other than unattractive women on dating apps. They could get matches with them, but in person, girls never approached them or came onto them, obviously. So they still had to learn cold approach. But did it help that they were shredded? Yeah, it helped, of course. Like, it's definitely an advantage. You're going to get more freebies where girls are just like, well, this guy's shredded and that's attractive to me, and so I'm going to make it easy for him. Of course that's going to help. I would never say otherwise unless unless that's what I saw with my own two eyes. Yeah, it does help. But the thing with Tinder is that it makes it so women can only choose based on your appearance. They can't look at anything else. So you don't know how much your appearance is a factor except in that little separate world, right? You don't know whether it's 10%, 90%, or somewhere in between of what's making women decide to date you or reject you. And the other thing about Tinder that has to be kept in mind is your appearance is not static on Tinder. People say, I get no matches on Tinder. Black pill proven. I got no matches on Tinder. I guess the black pill is real. I can't get girls. Your pictures probably suck. Like, you have a picture where you look like this. Like, you look half asleep. You look like you live in your mother's basement. It has bad lighting. Your facial expression is like sullen and dead inside. Yeah, you're not going to get matches, right? So it's very important to keep that in mind, because my own Tinder profile dating apps, I have pictures that were professionally taken that got a very low rating by women on Photo Feeler. It's an app you can use to have girls rate your pictures out of 10. I have pictures that were professionally taken and I thought were really good that got as low as, I think, a 4.6. And that was a good picture in my mind. That was a picture I thought would do well. If I had the pictures I didn't think would do well rated, they probably get like a 3 or lower. And then I got a bunch of different pictures, and I got professional pictures. I took my own. I got tons of pictures, and eventually I got pictures that were as high as a 9.6. But that wasn't just about changing my physique, because actually the highest rated pictures I have were taken when my physique was not at its best. Like, I wasn't super fat, but I also wasn't super ripped, and I was able to get very highly rated pictures because your angle, your lighting, your facial expression, the framing, the camera, like, there's so many different factors that can make a picture either look like dog shit or look really good. So the whole, oh, well, I got no matches, really, like, evaluate whether those pictures are maximizing your appearance or if those pictures are dog shit. Chances are they're dog shit. Most men's pictures on Tinder are not very good. They're not maximizing their appearance. It's the same idea of, like, why don't black pill guys take steroids and get ripped? The ones who do, I respect that they're taking action at least, right? They're at least doing something to maximize their appearance as opposed to complaining about it. So why not get a bunch of pictures and try to find some that are actually maximizing your appearance? You can have people say, do you think this picture is like as good a picture as I could get? Is it as flattering as possible? And they will give you an honest opinion. And if it's dog shit, they'll be like, that picture was horrible. Like, why do you think you're going to get matches? You could do way better. That's the easiest way to find out. Let's see this comment. Different factors, female gaze kind of thing, linking a video. Okay, sounds cool. So the other thing that has really changed my mindset and the reason why I'm putting out so many more videos, I have 3 videos that I've recorded for my main channel today, and I'm going through the editing process. So my plan is to have at least 1 video on each channel per day, if not 2 or even 3. And some of those will be more edited. Some of those will be like, hidden camera videos or street interviews that have a higher production quality. And others will just be live streams or talking about whatever topic. But I'm going to be doing at least 1 video on each channel per day, if not 2 to even 3, if I just have a lot of free time that day, right? And the reason for that is I recently read the book called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I watched an interview with Grant Cardone and The Wolf of Wall Street, the guy that character was based on. And Grant Cardone came across as a real douchebag in that interview. He came across as unintelligent, brash, unnecessarily rude. He just came across very badly, not good. And I didn't really want to take him seriously. But I saw the title of the book. I thought, you know what? That's a compelling idea. It's got tons of reviews. A lot of people have enjoyed it. So maybe, let me get some water real quick. Maybe there's something to it. And there is an important lesson there. Just because you don't like someone on a personal level doesn't mean you can't learn from them. You know, I find it funny, a lot of people hate Trump. And I'll ask these people, can you think of something good about him? Can you think of something positive about him? The majority of them will go blank. They won't be able to say anything. And that is small-mindedness. That is letting yourself be emotional instead of logical. That is being myopic, and it limits you from growth. It limits you from expanding and improving, because truth is, you can hate Trump and still think, you know what? He's clearly a great marketer. He's clearly good at rallying people on an emotional level and getting attention and using that attention to accomplish his goals. So maybe there's something I could learn from him. I can abhor the things he's saying and still, in another way, be his student and try to learn from the things that he is doing effectively to improve myself, as opposed to just being pissed off and negative whenever I'm exposed to him. That's what someone who's going to succeed in life, that's how they think. And they'll think that with anyone and everyone. If I'm having a conversation with someone who I think is super annoying, I'm going to try to find some kind of value from them. I mean, look, I'll get out of the conversation if possible. But if I can't, I'm going to try to focus on what can I learn from this person? What kind of value can I get from this, as opposed to, oh, they suck. Right? As opposed to being negative, because there is so much you can get from people you hate. If they're famous and successful, there's a reason for it, and what you should do is try to find out what exactly is that reason, so you can learn from them, and then every person becomes a source of personal growth, a way to improve and level yourself up. It's very important to have the mentality that you're a student. No matter how good you are, no matter how much you've achieved, how much you've succeeded, see yourself as a student, right? When it comes to the dating advice stuff, I think on one level I'm better than almost anyone in the world at it. On another level, I watch other people's videos and think maybe they have an insight I didn't realize yet. Maybe they're better than me at this one little area of it. Maybe there's something I can take from it that I never thought of. And by doing that, I never get stuck at a certain level. I can always improve. And people's egos often get in the way, and then they get trapped at level 1, 2, or 3 when they had a lot more potential that was never realized. So with Grant Cardone, on a personal level, I can't say that I'm the biggest fan. I can't say I like the way he communicates. He's confident. He's very bold. And that's something I picked up on. And that's the message that shines through in his book, is this just dedication to sheer output, sheer force of will. Success not through being charismatic and smooth, like say Loki from Marvel, who's wily and clever and tricking people into doing his bidding. Right, that's his way of being successful. Or like Hillary Clinton would be like a real life example of someone who's they're like pulling strings, being a puppet master, and using trying to be influential in that way to get what they want. Grant Cardone is the opposite. It's sheer force of will. And the main lesson from the book, the main idea of the book, is if you want to be successful at anything in life, the most important thing is not your tactics, your techniques, or any of that kind of stuff. It's that your output is 10 times what you think it should be, what you think you need to do. So you think, you know what, if I want to do YouTube, if I do like, one video a week, 2 videos a week, that's good enough. The 10X rule says your assumption about what you need to do is about 10% of what you actually should be doing. And that might be convenient, it's like too poetic that it's 10X, but the concept works. You know what? If I did 10 times what anyone else, like what I wanted to do, what I thought I needed to do, guess what? I'm going to succeed much more quickly. I'm going to, not only is the fact that you're putting out more just mean you're going to have more successes, right? If you do 100 sales calls, you're just going to get more people to say yes than if you do 10, even if the sales calls aren't amazing. But also, it builds momentum. It builds a lot of momentum, and then your skills increase faster. So not only are you just taking more at-bats, which means you're going to have more successes, but you're also going to develop your skill set in whatever it is exponentially faster. You're going to learn faster because you're going to make more mistakes, you're going to have more failures, you're going to have more successes, and you're going to be able to take all that data in a much, at a much faster rate than if you did what you thought you needed to do. So this is something that can apply. Someone from the Attractive Man's marketing list is sending me a text. I subscribe to all my competitors who are good at marketing. I subscribe to their buy their books and stuff like that, so I can learn from how their marketing works and improve my own. But anyway, so the 10X rule states that, okay, so instead of 2 videos a week, maybe it should be 20 videos a week. And then I'm going to be very successful. And I mean, if you already said you're going to work 40 hours a week, you can't 10X that. You can't do 400. But that mentality of, you know what, if I write 1 book every 3 months, that's pretty good. Fuck that. I'm going to write 10 books every 3 months. And if you do that, you follow through with that level of, gusto, with that level of just pushing yourself aggressively to take an insane amount of action, success is going to happen. Your force of will create massive success. And Grant Cardone is a great example of his own concept because he's not the most likable person. I don't think he's the smoothest talker when you hear the way he does sales. But he takes an insane amount of action. He's a very hard worker. He lives by this principle of the 10X rule. And so even though he's not as charismatic or smooth as much of his competitors, he's far more successful than most of them are. And this is something you can apply to any area of your life. You can apply it to dating. You can apply it to learning. Like if you want to read more, you want to build a hobby, like anything you want to achieve in your life, you apply this 10X rule, this 10X mindset, way of thinking really, then you're going to be far more successful, because the biggest thing that holds us back is that we don't have enough ambition. We don't have enough ambition, enough of a vision for what we could achieve to move us forward, to give us that charge, to make us excited to take action. So like my goal, one of my goals this year is to make at least $1 million. I mean, I've made a whole video about that. And that idea came from the 10x rule. I guess if it was a 10x rule, it'd be more like 5 million. Uh, so maybe I have to change that to 5 million this year. So regardless, right? I made about 150K last year, and now my goal is to make $1 million. And I know to do that, I'm going to have to take a lot more action. I'm going to have to push myself a lot more, and I'm going to go through more failures, more challenges, etc. But if I do that, not only am I going to have these crazy successes, and I'm going to experience the satisfaction and the sense of general well-being and happiness that comes from knowing you are living in alignment with who you want to be, right? Your vision for who you could become, every day you're either living in alignment with that or you're falling short of it. So if you play video games 8 hours a day, you're falling short of it. But if you are pushing yourself, working really hard, going to the gym, reading, whatever the things that you think you should be doing are, you're doing those, then you're living in alignment, and then you get this sense of satisfaction, this sense of well-being that comes from knowing you are becoming the person you want to be. I think that's one of the most important things for long-term happiness, is whether you feel in alignment with that, or if you feel like a battery in the matrix. You feel like you are living other people's goals. You are contributing to other people's ambitions. So you are, giving your time and energy to things that don't benefit you personally at all, that just make you comfortable and make you at ease, that make you relaxed. So things like watching too much TV, video games, all that kind of stuff. So with the 10x rule, the other side to be aware of is 10x goals. And this is something, look, if you're watching this and you really do want to improve your life, simple thing, create a document, use Google Docs, whatever, and write your goals, but 10x them. Write these types of goals. And they could be, write them for the month, write them for the week, write them for the year. Write goals that are 10x what you think you wanted to achieve. Right? So if it's in terms of making money and you thought, you know what, I want to make $50,000. Now it's 500,000. If I thought, I wanted to, get at least 3 dates with girls, so I have a better chance at meeting a girlfriend. Now it's 30. And, I wanted to lose 5 pounds. Now it's 50, unless that would make you anorexically skinny, make it far more ambitious, right? And do that. And yes, it might be, intimidating. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. But weak-ass goals just there's nothing exciting about them. And if you try for these 10x goals and you fall short, you're still going to do better than you would have if you achieved the 1x goals. So that's the really powerful thing about that concept. I guess you could call this something of a book review. I do recommend everyone read that book. There are some cheesy parts. Grant Cardone, he's got his unique personality. There are some parts that I don't necessarily agree with. And there's some filler. But there's a lot of really valuable stuff. And that mentality is something that can take you very far in life. So with that said, I don't have any other topics I plan on going over. If anyone has any questions, things they want to bring up or ask me before I head off and finally get to sleep, then let me know. But you can see even now, I've made over 2 hours of videos today, and normally just like talking to the camera, you have no idea. I usually don't do live streams because live streams there's the public speaking, social anxiety, there's the pressure that comes with public speaking. So I normally don't do live streams. I do the videos just with the camera, and I'll try to make a 10-minute video, and it'll take me like 30 minutes because every time I don't like the way I said something, I start to overthink, and then it doesn't come across right, and I'm not happy with my delivery, and then I restate the sentence, and et cetera, et cetera. And the first times, a couple weeks ago when I did live streams, even 5 minutes in, I was already re-saying sentences because I wasn't happy with the way it was going. And now, look, I'm stressed, but I'm able to keep a 40-minute live stream going. I'm able to keep talking that long, even at my wit's end in terms of my energy level right now. Even though I pushed myself that far, I'm doing better now than those first live streams a couple weeks ago than I was doing at the best part of those. I'm more comfortable, doing this. I'm more at ease doing this, despite the fact that that's where I am. And so that shows what momentum really does. And that's why it's so important to push yourself to be consistent and to take massive action. It's one of those catchphrases like, oh, take massive action, shut up. I get that response. That's been my reaction to a lot of that kind of stuff myself. But it works. It really works. And always invest in yourself. Yes, I agree. I invest in myself in many ways. I have paid as much as $1,000 for a coaching session for business. I have bought many courses. I've done all of those sorts of things, and I found it to be very helpful. So let's see if there's any questions. When am I putting out my book? I'm going to be finished with it in 2 days, but I'm gonna do a marketing campaign, a release sequence. I made a point to finish it before announcing the release date, because that doesn't work when I do that. When I announce a release date, I got in trouble with Amazon for that once. So I have it done, and then it'll be probably a couple weeks, because I want to build up hype and make people more aware of it, because I haven't been mentioning it. Would I ever do drugs like HGH or test? Yeah, potentially. I would just do more research on the pros and cons of it, the potential benefits and what negatives there might be, and I would 100% consider it. Like, why not? I am willing to consider and try anything that could be beneficial, right? I see myself as like my own science experiment, and I'm trying all kinds of different things to see what happens. And when things prove to be effective or helpful, I do them more, double down on them. When things prove to be ineffective or unhelpful, I let them go. But I'm willing to try anything, even if it sounds cheesy, even if my ego doesn't like the idea. Like, the law of attraction is something that initially when I heard it, I was like, this is the most dumb shit I've ever heard in my life. And I'm still like the spiritual woo-woo side. I don't believe in that. But, I thought, look, a lot of people believe in this. A lot of people are convinced that it's changed their life. So why not give it a shot? Why not see what happens? It's like 5 minutes. I can do it 5 minutes, do it a couple weeks, and see if I notice any benefits. And if I do, I'll keep doing it, and I'll keep an open mind to the possibility that it is helpful. I'll keep an open mind to maybe it's just a placebo effect, or actually, even if it is a placebo effect, if it works, that's fine. But I'll keep open-minded to the idea that maybe, I'm just convincing myself I'm getting benefits from it, but it's not actually doing anything. I'll keep an open mind, but if it seems to be helping, I'll keep trying and keep experimenting with it more. And that's a mindset I've always had. Someone who explains it very well, though, is Tim Ferriss in his books. I think he talks about it most in The 4-Hour Body. And a lot of his stuff, I don't know if it's legit, but some of it is very helpful. And he's got so many different ideas that you can try, and I think that's really cool. And I've had great success with some of the stuff that he teaches, specifically in the 4-Hour Workweek, that book. And he's a very smart guy. So some of his advice may be bro science, pseudoscience, but some of it's very good. And having the mindset that life is an experiment, and you're basically trying all these different things on yourself to see what works and what doesn't, will get you very far. And it's much better than what most people do, which is, my ego doesn't like the idea. I have an emotional gut feeling I don't like it, so neglect. And if it makes me feel good emotionally when I hear it, I'll do it. That's really a very limiting mentality that I don't think will get you very far. So about to wrap this up, but if anyone has any questions, anything they want to ask me, now's your chance. And as far as reaching your genetic limit, I mean, maybe I'll someday, do something with testosterone, but I am not close to my genetic limit right now, so I don't think it's necessary. I've been pretty muscular in the past. I can build muscle relatively. It's not too difficult for me, but my health habits have not been the best during the last couple of years. When starting with COVID, the main thing that caused me to gain weight was just drinking more. Those calories really add up very quickly. But I'm not going to do any test or anything like that until I get past the point where I'm close to my genetic potential, right? I feel like I've pushed myself. I would feel like I was doing myself a disservice to use the cheat codes before I had gotten to a point where I got as far as I could without the cheat codes, if that makes sense. Talk about mistakes made with eye contact. Look, the most common one is just not holding strong enough eye contact. The second one is holding creepily intense eye contact. Eye contact, one thing to be aware of is it's not just about how strong the eye contact is. That is important, but it's about the emotion you're projecting. So when it comes to eye contact, you don't want your eyes to be all the way open. Generally better to be partly closed. That just looks more attractive on, I think, everyone. I don't know if there's any exception. It's always going to look more attractive. I guess maybe if you're Asian, they already, I don't know. But generally, you don't want them to be too wide open. That looks like fear. It looks like stress, discomfort. It's not good. So you want to make sure that your eye contact is somewhat closed. You can just look in the mirror to see what it feels like to be looking in a way that looks your best. And the other thing is your eyes project different emotions. They will project stress. They can project excitement, happiness, sadness, whatever. So when it comes to eye contact, you should be thinking about the emotion you're projecting. And so one level is just being enthusiastic, being passionate, being charismatic, like being very expressive is going to make your eye contact more attractive and more engaging in general. But also when you're like looking at a woman you find attractive, for example, you want to be thinking about how attractive she is, about how sexy she is, about how you desire her. That's what you should be focusing on, like in your mind, and then your eyes will transmit that feeling, right? Your eye contact will reflect that, and she will feel that, and arousal will naturally build. Eye contact is extremely powerful. I've had multiple women in one way or another ask to have sex with me, usually not literally asking to have sex, but implying it, either by saying, oh, I wish we were in Vegas right now, when we're not, or things like, I should have sex with a psychology major, when I was a psychology major. Thank you. The stream's almost done. Thank you. So I should have sex with a psychology major, or something to that effect, right? Or inviting me home with them. Like another one actually invited me to go to an alleyway with her, just from eye contact, just from that energy I was transmitting. And that was something that never happened before I figured that concept out, before I started focusing on projecting with my eyes the feeling of desire, and then kind of focusing that, channeling it. It sounds woo-woo and hippie, but it's not about that. It's about mirror neurons. It's about how emotions are contagious. You can look up emotional contagion. There's been plenty of research on that. And if you feel something and you hold strong eye contact while you're feeling that, then the girl will feel it as well. All the girls I slept with formed a connection. How many would you say were girlfriend material? That's a hard question to answer, because if it's a one-night stand, how do you know if they're girlfriend material? You can know if they're clearly not girlfriend material, which is, at least half of them. But then there's a lot where they might have been girlfriend material, but you don't know someone's whole personality. So they were very charismatic, very attractive, very feminine, whatever. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're girlfriend material, because until you've known someone for like 6 months, maybe even longer, you don't know their whole personality, and your own what's it called, like your own bias from just those initial chemicals hasn't worn off, and so you don't see things as they really are yet. I have a girlfriend, I'm dating 7 months, but I got bored and don't love her. Well, that's not great. But she loves me so much, kind of obsessed. Well, obsession and love don't go together necessarily. That's something important to be aware of. Like, if someone's obsessed with you, I don't think they really love you. Because if someone's obsessed with you, they are not seeing you as an equal, as another human. They're basically seeing you as something that they can get value from. They're seeing you either as like way above them in some way, and it's a type of using you when someone's obsessed, right? They're seeing you as a source of good emotions. They're seeing you as a drug as opposed to another human being. Because obsession means, when someone's obsessed with you, it means that they don't care what you want. They don't like, if you wanted to break up with them, they wouldn't be able to accept that gracefully. They would try to find ways to manipulate you to stay with them, and this is the biggest tell that someone doesn't really love you and that it's obsession. If you try to break up with them, that's what they do. Then they don't really love you. They don't love you as a human being. They are addicted to you. And being addicted to you and loving you, in my opinion, are two very different things. And if someone's addicted to you, the relationship will eventually become toxic, because when someone's addicted to you, it means that once those overly strong emotions wear off, or once you don't reach, once they see that you're just a human, and they see like through that illusion that they've created, and they see the real side of you and connect with you on a more human level, they're going to be disappointed, and it creates this like it's like a rubber band like snapback effect. And then there's going to be this roller coaster where they deify you, then they see you as a human, and then they treat you like shit, and it goes up and down. So obsession is I really don't think it's love. Because I can't leave her. Why can't you leave her? You can't say you like. Well, saying you can't leave her is a very odd choice of words to me, because you could leave her. What do you mean can't? Right? You could leave her. You've decided you don't feel like it's worth it. You think the consequences are too great. You don't want to hurt her. That doesn't mean you can't leave her. I was happier when I was single. Look, if you're happier when you were single, that means you shouldn't be in the relationship. You don't want to admit it to yourself, probably, but that is the truth. If you are happier not in the relationship than you are in the relationship, then you shouldn't be in the relationship. That's the answer. And the longer you stay in the relationship, the worse it will get when you do eventually break up, or if you never break up, your life will become more and more miserable over the years. And so will hers. Neither of you are going to win from it. And if she's obsessed with you, she's also not going to be truly happy with you, right? It's going to be this roller coaster, and it's very stressful. So no one wins. She's sad 70% of the time. Okay, that's lowers your mood. Like, yeah, you gotta leave her. And yeah, it will hurt her, but staying with her will hurt her more. That's the key to understand, is that staying with her when you already know you don't love her, you already know she makes your life worse, it's gonna hurt her more than leaving her. Because eventually you're either gonna have to leave her, and then it's gonna be worse the longer you put it off, or you stay with her forever, and then both of you, it's like you drag each other down, right? You're like each other's anchors. You both jump off the ship, and you both have, you're tied together on an anchor, and you just drown each other. Do I talk about eye contact in my online courses? Yes, there's a whole week dedicated to that in my mentorship program. Do you think the age pill is real? What is the age pill? That's something, I mean, I can guess that if you're past a certain age that it's hopeless, but I don't know exactly the definition, so I couldn't tell you unless I knew the exact definition. Is it harder with someone when you're older and families aren't possible when you're, well, look, my great-great-grandfather had a child when he was in his 70s, so you can still have a family as a man at any age. You get somewhat less fertile, but generally, like, you can have a kid for kids for a very, very long time. Women, that's like a benefit that men have over women because they can't pass, it gets risky in their like mid to late 30s. And I am about to wrap up, but if you can explain the age pill really quick, I'll be happy to give you my opinion on that. Yeah, well, look, let us know like how the breakup goes. Let us know what happens. And look, breaking up is very difficult. It is painful um, for you, and you're welcome. It's just as painful for you as it is for her. You don't want to hurt someone, but you have to keep the bigger picture in mind that if a relationship is making you less happy than you were without the relationship, it's going to continuously get worse, and breaking it off now is going to be less painful than not breaking it off. But more the fact that it'll be harder to find a quality woman. I don't know. Like, one of the girls I hooked up with recently was 20 and specifically like talked about how she wanted older men, and even up to like the 40s. So it's pretty common for women to be attracted to older men. There's plenty of evolutionary and biological reasons why a man aging is not as detrimental as a woman aging, and that men actually peak later. Men at 18 are like, that's like a little boy. That's not really like sexy, right? As much as a 30-year-old is closer to like their peak. And then it goes very slowly down in the 30s, 40s, etc. So until you're, I don't know, like if you're in your 60s, yeah, it's going to be hard to date 20-year-olds unless you're just a badass. If you are a badass, right, you've killed it in every area of life, then you still will be able to, even in your 60s. And in your 50s, it depends on if partly in your genetics, I suppose, but also in how well you've taken care of yourself. A lot of men are still attractive enough in their 50s. Yeah, a lot of younger women are gonna, just have a rule that you're too old for them, but a lot they're gonna feel attracted and they'll go with that feeling, right? Very many of them will. The question is, why would you even really want to date 20-year-old women when you're 50? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so 60 minutes was what I was going for. Past that somehow. Yeah, I'm gonna head to sleep. It is like 7 a.m., 7:30, and I haven't slept. I've worked over 14 hours today, plus this live stream. Hopefully there'll be some good clips I can make videos from. We'll see how much of a rambling, like I seemed like a rambling homeless person when I watch some of it back. But thank you everyone for watching. If you for some reason enjoyed this, then subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button, all that good stuff, and let me know in the comment sections what you want me to talk about in the future.